Shalom, brothers and sisters. Your brother Yazriela from the Northern Kingdom, bringing some edification for you Negro, Latino, and Indigenous who are the biblical Israelites. Shalom, hermanos. Yo soy tu hermano Yazriela del Reino del Norte, trayendo un poco de edificación para ustedes negros, latinos, indígenas que son el pueblo de Israel. Y antes de empezar, quiero darle todo un respeto. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Rakam, que Yahweh viene siendo el nombre del Padre Todopoderoso, o Jehová, o Yahvé, o Dios, es Yahweh, el creador de todo, lanzante de días. Bahasham es el nombre de, y Yahweh Shai es que ustedes le llaman Jesús o Cristo ignorantemente. Y le damos doble honor a los maestros de la Gran Piedra Molino, donde aprendimos esta verdad. Y Shalom al tercio de la casa de David, que va a ser salvo en estos últimos días, los electos de la nación de Israel. Shalom a ustedes. Y Shalom a los pájaros pintos que están dispersados en las cuatro esquinas del mundo, que saben como las otras naciones, pues regresan a la casa de Israel, se han certificados por sus videos. Shalom a ustedes. So the name of the Father, Yahweh, okay? Bahasham is in the name of, and Yahweh Shai is the one you guys call Jesus or the Christ. Remember, the letter J is only 400 years old. So we got to separate the lies. We got to separate the bones from the meat. We got to get down to the truth. If they've been lying to you, you have to realize that you've been lied to and accept the lies and separate and go look for the truth. Because remember, the truth will set you free. So Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, okay? And you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the children of Israel. That is the biggest lie this world has kept from you, okay? That you are God's chosen people. That you are, that you guys have a covenant with the creator of heaven and earth. That God loves you and no one else. That you are considered the world, okay? That you are the sheep. You are the wheat. These are all triggered words or synonyms to for our Zion, for the name of Israel, okay? So you have to understand what time we're in, that the devil is let loose for but a small time to come and proclaim the lies, so we could come and tell the truth, because all these lies have to fall apart, have to come down, and the truth has to be go out. Just because the word of God goes out, does not come back void? Absolutely not. So we have to understand what time we're in and the prophecies of the scriptures. Who does it fit and who doesn't it fit? Just like Cinderella. Not everybody fit the shoe. So if you don't fit the shoe, how can you be Cinderella? Alright? So let's start with that. Este es Baruch, capítulo 2, versículo 30. Pues sé que no iban a obedecerme, porque son un pueblo terco. Pero cuando estén desterrados, entonces reflexionarán y reconocerán que yo soy Yahweh su Dios, y les daré inteligencia y oídos para escuchar. En el sitio en que estén desterrados, me alabarán y se acordarán de mí. Dejarán su terquedad y su mala conducta al acordarse de lo que sucedió a sus antepasados. Pecaron contra mí, Yahweh, ¿ok? Entonces yo haré que regresen a su país, al país que con juramento había prometido a Abraham, Isaac y Jacob, sus antepasados, y volveré a ser dueños de él. Yo haré que se multipliquen, que no disminuyen. Yo haré con ellos una alianza eterna y me comprometeré a ser su Dios. Y aquellos sean mi pueblo, y no volveré a hacer salir a mi pueblo Israel del país de que los di. This is Baruch, chapter 2, verse 30. I know that you will not obey me because you are a stubborn people. But when you are taken into exile in another land, you will come to your senses. Then you will realize that I am the Lord your God, and I will give you a desire to know and a mind with which to understand. There is in the land of your exile, you will praise me and remember me. You will stop being so stubborn and wicked, for you will remember what happened to your ancestors and what they sinned against the Lord. Then I will bring you back to the land that I solemnly promise to give you and your ancestors to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will be yours again. And I will increase your population, and you will never again be reduced to a small number. I will make you an everlasting covenant with you, and I will be your God, and you will be my people. I will never again remove you, the people of Israel, from the land that I gave you. Okay? So that's a covenant that the Lord has made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the Lord is going to what? Stand for that contract still to this day, because we're the seed of those people. We're the seed of those ancestors, those men that walked the land of Canaan, that made the promise with Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? That whole history, this is the history of our people. So you have to understand what happened, that we went into slavery, which was biblical prophecy in Deuteronomy 28, and that's why we don't know who we are. Our heritage was beat out of us. Okay? We were conquered, and for the first time, our heritage, our language was denied to us. That's the only difference that happened during all the other captivities, from Egypt to Assyria to Babylon to the Medes, the Persians, and it started with the Greeks. The Greeks are the ones who made it illegal to be an Israelite, to be called a Jew. That's why that same thing has happened here in America. Because those are the same people, okay? These are the same people that have enslaved us from the time of Alexander, okay? These are the same descendants of those people, which are the Edomites, okay? The people that God hates, the people that God created to punish the Israelites. So the time has come that our punishment is coming to an end, so there's going to be no need for the devil no more, okay? The serpent, the dragon, all these code names, the wicked that the Lord has put on these people. Okay, just like there's the sheep, there's also the goats that are of the left-hand side. Okay, and the Lord is coming to separate his sheep from his goats. Okay, and the goats represent, look it up, Alexander, he's that rough goat. And his people. Okay, so that's what we have to understand. It's a little windy day, so bear with me. Sabiduría capítulo 5, versículo 14. En la realidad, la esperanza del malvado es como paja, que arrebata el viento, como espuma ligera, que la tempestad arrastra, se desvanece como un humo llevado por el viento, y pasa como el recuerdo de un viajero, que solamente se hospeda una noche. Están haciendo la analogía del malvado o del impío, el autoproclamado hombre blanco, como un hombre pasajero que está pasando. ¿Okay? Los buenos viven eternamente. Su recompensa está en las manos de Yahweh, el Altísimo, cuidado de ellos. Por lo tanto, recibirán de manos de Yahweh un reino glorioso y una hermosa corona. Y Él los protegerá con su mano y los defenderá con su brazo. ¿Y quién está sentado a la mano derecha? ¿Quién es su mano derecha? Yahushai, su hijo, que usted le llaman Jesús. ¿Okay? Y Yahweh se vestirá de su ira como de una armadura, y se armará de la creación para castigar a sus enemigos. ¿Y quién son sus enemigos? Ya leímos sus enemigos en Salmos 83 y 3, que son las otras naciones. ¿Okay? Cualquier otra nación que no sea de la nación de Israel son los enemigos de Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, porque están en las escrituras. ¿Okay? No se crean las mentiras. Se revestirán de justicia como de una coraza. Se pondrán como casco el juicio sincero. Tomará su santidad como escudo impenetrable. Afilará como una espada su ira inflexible. Y el universo combatirá a su lado contra los insensatos. ¿Okay? So aquí te está diciendo, como en Efesios te dice, el escudo, la armadura. ¿Okay? Aquí, ¿de dónde crees que viene todo eso? Pablo está aquí del libro de sabiduría, que fue escrito por el rey Salomón. Okay? This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 14. What hope do the wicked have? What hope do wicked people have? Only the hope of straw blown about in the wind. And this is a great analogy that King Solomon is making, because the book of Obadiah tells you that Esau is like, what? Like stubble. Stubble is used to make a fire. Okay, so the same analogy over the whole Bible is being used. It's harmonizing itself. Only the hope of straw blown about in the wind, the hope of ocean foam that disappears in the storm. So they're talking about the Edomites, that they're just like straw, that they're like ocean foam. If you ever see ocean foam, you just blow it away. It just blows away. The air will carry it. The wind will carry it away. The hope of the ocean foam that disappears in the storm. The hope of smoke in the breeze. Their hope lasts no longer than our memory of a guest who stays one day and leaves the nest. So the wicked, these so-called Caucasian people, or the Edomites, have been around since the time of Alexander, but in power until now. But the Lord said that it's only a blink of an eye, because to the Lord that's only been 2 days and a half. So the Lord's already coming to bring this society, which he built, which said that whatever he builds, he's going to knock down. Read the book of Obadiah. Whatever these people touch, the Lord is going to destroy. Okay? Their hope lasts no longer than our memory of a guest who stays one day and leaves the next. But the righteous live on forever. The Lord will reward them. The Most High will protect them. He will give them royal splendor and magnificent crown, because that's promised to the children of Israel, the elect of the children of Israel, right? Eventually all Israel will be saved, but here in the now, we're only speaking about the elect of the nation of Israel, which includes 144,000, which are all men, 12,000 from each tribe, okay? And then you're talking about the mixed multitude, which are men, women, and children of the children of Israel. He will shield them with this powerful arm. Who's sitting at the right hand of the Father? Who is that right arm? It's Yahushua, who most of you call Jesus, right? He will go out into the battle determined to defeat the enemies. And that's what the second coming of the Lord is. He's about to kill a lot of people. Okay? And including 2/3 of the nation of Israel. 66% for you niggas, man. He will go out in battle determined to defeat the enemy and use the creation itself as a weapon. And that's talking about the elect, the 144,000. He's about to activate the 144,000 to help destroy this world. Okay? Righteousness will be his armor. Genuine justice will be his helmet. Holiness will be his invincible shield. He will sharpen his stern anger into a sword, and the forces of nature will join him in battle against those who are foolish enough to oppose him, right? Because it says that the elect are going to be aligned with nature. So a lion, a tiger, and that day of the elect of the Lord, nothing's going to happen to him. But if it's outside of the elect, the tiger or bear is going to eat those people alive. Okay? Bolts of lightning will strike right on target, as if the Lord had made a bow out of the clouds and was shooting arrows. Hailstones will beat down on his enemies with terrible force. The ocean and rivers will come rushing over them in a devastating flood. great windstorms will blow them away like straw. Lawlessness will be the ruin of the whole world. Even evil actions will cause governments to fall. And we're seeing that now. We are shaking governments, which are called mountains in the scriptures. Didn't it say the Lord that with a small amount of faith, as small as a seed of mustard, that we will move mountains? We're moving mountains as we speak through the words of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, which are those governments. You're seeing these governments fall. You're seeing the separation of the EU, of NATO. That is prophecy. Okay? The BRIC system, that's prophecy. Este es Joel, capítulo 2, versículo 27. Y ustedes, israelitas, habrán de reconocer que yo, el Señor, estoy con ustedes, que yo soy su Dios y nadie más, y nunca más quedará mi pueblo cubierto de vergüenza. Después de esas cosas, derramaré mi espíritu sobre toda la humanidad. Los hijos y hijas de ustedes profetizarán. Los viejos tendrán sueños y los jóvenes visiones. También sobre siervos y siervas derramaré mi espíritu en aquellos días. Mostraré en el cielo grandes maravillas, que estamos viéndolas hoy, lo que les llaman ovnis, ¿no? Grandes maravillas y sangre, fuego y nubes de humo en la tierra. Ya hemos visto la luna de sangre, ¿ven? Eso ya ha pasado. El sol se volverá a oscuridad y la luna como sangre, antes que llegue el día de Yahweh, el día grande terrible. Pero todos los que invoquen el nombre del Señor lograrán salvación de la muerte, pues en el monte Sión, en Jerusalén, porque tenemos que ponerlo en contexto. ¿De quién está hablando? De quien invoca el nombre del Señor está hablando de Sión. Aquí nomás están hablando de Sión. En Juan 3:16 nomás están hablando de Sión, que es el pueblo de Israel. Pero todos los que invoquen el nombre del Señor lograrán salvarse de la muerte, pues en el monte de Sión, en Jerusalén, estará la salvación, tal como el Señor lo ha prometido. Los que ha escogido quedarán con vida. Y los que ha escogido son los electos de la nación de Israel, hermanos. Eso no ha cambiado. Está escrito y el Señor lo va a prometer porque son sus promesas. This is Joel chapter 2 verse 27. Then Israel, you will know that I am among you, and that I, Yahweh, am your God, and there is no other. My people will never be despised again. Afterwards, I will pour out my spirit on everyone. Your sons and daughters will proclaim my message. Your old people will have dreams, and your young people will be visions. At that time I will pour out my spirit even on servants, both men and women. I will give warning of that day in the sky, on earth. There will be bloodshed, fire, and clouds of smoke. The sun will be darkened, and the moon will turn red as blood, before the great and terrible day of Yahweh cometh. But all who ask the Lord for help will be saved. As the Lord has said, some in Jerusalem will escape. Those who I choose, I will survive. And that's the whosoever. When you're talking about the whosoever, we have to put it in context. Because this is the book of Joel. It's talking about the Israelites. And then when you read about the whosoever in John 3:16, it's also talking about the Israelites. And then the other place you read about the whosoever is Acts 2. And Acts 2 is what? Is quoting Joel 2, which I just read. Right? Because it tells you that whosoever in Zion will be saved. The salvation will be on Zion. And salvation will be in Jerusalem. So a lot of people will read those books and believe that salvation is for everybody. But the beginning of the context is talking about the Jews. That's the context. And then it tells you this is from the book of Joel. But what is the book of Joel talking about? Salvation coming to the Israelites. That's what the Acts chapter 2 is about. That all the Jews that came to Jerusalem from all the lands, it's not talking about actual Persians. It's not talking about actual Egyptians. Those are Israelites that were what? That were through the diaspora, that were scattered out and are living in those lands for hundreds of years, that are coming back to Jerusalem, right? 50 days after Passover. Okay? And that's what that was happening. That's what a lot of people do not understand. It tells you at the beginning of the chapter, but people like to go all the way to verse 22 or 21 and take it out of context. We have to take things into context. That's why these religions have been thriving and saying whatever they want to say, but been taking things out of context. You have to study the Hebrew. You got to study the Greek, right? What's the Greek word for world in John 3:16? Cosmos, which means government. That's the government of Israel, because it's quoting something. The Messiah is quoting something. He's quoting the book of Isaiah. There's a lot of people don't know. There was no New Testament. So he's prophesying about the prophets, the coming of all the prophets, because every prophet talk about the Messiah, starting with Moses. Numbers 18 and 18. Let's get that. Números 18:18, tú podrás quedarte con la carne, lo mismo. Tú podrás quedarte con la carne, lo mismo que con el pecho de animal, es la ofrenda especial, y con el muslo derecho. Es Deuteronomio 18. Es el próximo libro, hermanos. Aquí está. Deuteronomio 18:18. Yo haré que salga de entre ellos un profeta como tú, como Moisés. Moisés era un israelita de la tribu de Leví. Uno que sea compatriota de ustedes, que venga de la nación de Israel, de ellos, y que les diga lo que yo le ordenaré decir, y le repetiré lo que yo se le mande. A todo aquel que no haga caso a lo que ese profeta diga en mi nombre, yo le pediré cuenta. Está en la ley que tenemos que creer en el Mesías, ¿ok? Porque está en la ley, ¿ok? This is Numbers 18 and 18. I will send them a prophet like you from among their own people. Because a lot of people want to say, oh, that's Muhammad. Well, Muhammad was not an Israelite, okay? That's talking about Moses. Moses was a prophet from the tribe of Levi. So again, Deuteronomy 18 and 18. I will send them a prophet like you from among their own people. I will tell him what to say, and he will tell the people everything I command. I will speak in my name, and I will punish anyone who refuses to obey him. So already in the law, it tells you that you have to believe in the Messiah. That's part of the law. So when the Pharisees didn't want to believe in him, they were going against the law. Remember, they're promoting law. But the law, even in the law, it tells you have to believe. So those that didn't believe in him were casted out. They were thrown out. The Lord doesn't want those people. That's why he's only, looking for the elect of the nation of Israel in these last days. Waking up the elect all over the world to save them, to bring them back from the diaspora, which is proclaimed in Deuteronomy 28. So we're going to read that too. But this is all prophecy that a lot of people don't want to hear. So, this is Deuteronomio 28:64. El Señor te esparcirá por todas las naciones, de un extremo al otro de la tierra, y allí adorarás dioses ajenos y dioses de madera y de piedra. Las dos religiones más grandes del mundo es cristianidad, ser cristiano, ¿Qué representa el émbolo, el símbolo de cristiandad? La cruz es hecha de madera, ¿ok? Y adorarás dioses ajenos de madera y de piedra, que es la religión número 2 más grande del mundo. Islam, musulmanos, la piedra, se adoran a la piedra de Kaaba, ¿ok? Que ni tú ni tus antepasados conocieron, ¿ok? This is Deuteronomy 28:64. The Lord will scatter you among all nations from the end of the earth to the other, and there you will serve gods made of wood and stone. And what is that? Wood and stone is representing the two biggest religions in the world. Wood, the number one big religion in the world, is what? Christianity. And what's their emblem? The cross, which is a torture method of Rome. And the number 2, a stone, which is the second biggest religion, Islam. The Muslims, what do they bow down to? A stone, a rock, the Kaaba stone, which was already in Mecca with the other idols. Okay, you can't make Mecca clean when it was already full of idols. It doesn't happen that way. So that this is proclaimed that the children of Israel were going to be dispersed among all nations, right? And so the apostles knew this. That's why most of their letters start in a certain pattern. So we're gonna go to one of the founding fathers, or one of the apostles, the head of the church, and read the beginning, what he's proclaiming. Santiago, capítulo 1, versículo 1. Santiago, siervo de Dios y del Señor Yahushua Mashiach. Saludos a las 12 tribus de Israel esparcidas por todo el mundo. Ese es el hermano de Yahushua, el hermano del Salvador, diciéndote que estas cartas, estas escrituras están para las 12 tribus de la nación de Israel que están dispersados. Lo mismo que dijo Deuteronomio, que íbamos a estar entre las naciones. This is James chapter 1 verse 1. From James, a servant of God and of Yahweh, Mashiach Yahushai, greetings to all God's people scattered over the whole earth. And really in the King James, it tells you the Israelites. The Israelites which are scattered among all people, because who was going to be in the diaspora? We just read it in Deuteronomy 28:64, right? And that's what was reiterated here. That's what Peter even says. Let's see what Peter says at the beginning of the first chapter of Peter. They're not saying nothing different. They're saying all the same things, perhaps in different words. If you know the foundation, it's not going to change. The Messiah was teaching them prophecy. Esta es primera de Pedro, capítulo 1, versículo 1. Pedro, apóstol de Yahushua Mashiach, saluda a los que viven esparcidos fuera de su patria, y que es su patria Judea, en las provincias de Ponto, Galacia, Capadocia, Asia y Bitinia, a quien Dios el Padre había escogido. ¿Quién escogió? Los electos de la nación de Israel, ¿ok? Anteriormente, conforme a su propósito, porque los electos fueron escogidos desde la fundación del mundo, ¿ok? This is 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 1. From Peter, apostle of Yahushua Mashiach, to God's chosen people. And who are God's chosen people? Isaiah 45 tells you that God's chosen people are the Israelites, the elect of the children of Israel. That's what he's talking about, the chosen, the elect of the children of Israel. To God's chosen people who live as refugees scattered throughout the province of Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. You were chosen according to the purpose of God. Who were chosen? The elect of the nation of Israel, right? You can read that in Isaiah 44. You can read that in Isaiah 45, which we're going to get. Because we got to prove all things. We can't leave this just to everybody's ideas and concepts. We got to nail it down. You were chosen according to the purpose of God the Father and were made holy by the Spirit to obey Yahushua Mashiach, right? Who was proclaimed to obey the Messiah. We just read in Deuteronomy 18 that he will come against from your brethren. So who was made to believe in it? The Israelites. To obey Yahushua Mashiach and be purified by his blood, right? So let's read who were the chosen. Este es Isaías 44:1. Escúchame ahora, Israel, pueblo de Jacob, mi siervo, mi elegido. Okay, so el Señor te está proclamando quiénes son sus elegidos. El pueblo de Jacob, Israel. This is Isaiah 44:1. The Lord says, listen now, Israel, my servant, my chosen people, the descendants of Jacob. Okay, it's not talking about spiritual people. It's talking about blood descendants. Okay. Isaías 45:4. Por consideración a mi siervo Jacob, al pueblo de Israel que he elegido, te ha llamado por tu nombre y te ha dado el título de honor que tienes sin que tú me conocerás. Isaiah 45:4. I appoint you to help my servant Israel, the people that I have chosen. I have given you great honor, although you don't know me. Right? Because a lot of people don't know they're Israelites in the last days. You know, they just believe that they're niggas and spicks and descendants, right? And that's it. You know, which there's no country of black, there's no so-called Latino. I don't speak Latin, right? Even though this comes from the Romantic languages, but that's what people are calling Latinx. I didn't vote for none of that shit, right? And the Lord never calls anybody here Latinx. Let's go to the book of Amos. Because Amos is proclaiming the same thing as Joel, and Joel is proclaiming the same thing as Peter. So it's harmonizing itself if you know where to look, which is everywhere if you know how to decipher it. That's another thing, right? Este es Amos capítulo 3, versículo 1. Israelitas, oigan lo que dice el Señor, el pueblo que sacó de Egipto. Solo a ustedes he escogido de entre todos los pueblos de la tierra. Por eso habré de pedirles cuentas de todas las maldades que han cometido. Por eso el Señor te castiga a ti. Por eso tú fuiste en esclavitud. ¿Por qué? Porque Él te sacó de Egipto y tú tienes que ser castigado. ¿Por qué no castiga a los chinos? ¿Por qué no castiga a los africanos? Castiga nomás a su pueblo. This is Amos chapter 3 verse 1. People of Israel, listen to this message which the Lord has spoken about you, the entire nation that he brought out of Egypt. Of all the nations on earth, you are the only one I have known and cared for. That is what makes you sin so terrible. And that is why I must punish you for them. Right? Because the Lord took out the children of Israel. And what did they do? He killed the Egyptians. That's how much he loved the nation of Israel, that he killed another nation to deliver his nation. Who are the people that went into slavery? The people he loves. Because they broke his law, statutes, and commandments. Nobody else. There's no Chinese people breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. Because there's no covenant with Chinese people. There's no covenant with African people. The people that he made the covenant, they're at the bottom of society everywhere all over the world, speaking all those different tongues, which was proclaimed in Acts 2. Okay? Because the Israelites are at the bottom of society of the whole world, which they were going to be scattered among all nations. That mixed multitude in Revelation 7 is what? Those people that are being brought back into the fold, which are all Israelites. And they all look like all nations and all languages. Why? Because they've been there for thousands of years living in the societies. What's coming out today? DNA test. What did I saw on TikTok? There's a Korean guy, right? And he took a DNA test, and his family could be brought, that's traced back 500 years in Korea. He took the DNA test, and he came out Pontiac Indian. Wait a minute. This Korean guy is a Pontiac Indian? How is that? Well, remember the slave trade? How it took first the indigenous people all over the world, and then they called the so-called African Americans all over the world? Because our people are dispersed among all nations. So now people are finding out, oh, damn, I'm not Korean. Oh, I'm not Chinese. Oh, I'm not Bulgarian. That's what's happening. The Lord is calling his people from the four corners of the world. That's why the end of society is happening. That's the world are crumbling. NATO is coming down. BRICS is getting, the dollar's devaluating, right? Earthquakes all over the world. Why? Because it's prophecy being fulfilled. The end is near. Right? I'm not saying the end is tomorrow. I'm not saying the end is next week. But you're seeing the signs of a society crumbling. Rome stood for 1,000 years. But it was what? It had to decay from the inside. So what's happened to America? There's being decay. Feminism, right? Feminism is ruling right now. When does feminism rule? When there's the end of a society. That's when women reign. At the end of society, look at Greece, look at Rome. They were ruling the empire. But what was happening? The people were starving. The army wasn't getting paid. That's what's happening as we speak. Salmos 147 y 19, Él dio a conocer a Jacob y a Israel sus palabras, sus leyes y decretos. No hizo lo mismo con las otras naciones, los cuales nunca conocieron sus decretos. Aleluya. Ok, so nadie conoce las leyes, estatutos, más la nación de Israel. Porque el Señor no le dio las leyes a nadie más. This is Psalms 147 and 19. He gives his message to his people, his instructions and laws to Israel. He has not done this for other nations. They do not know his laws. Praise you, the Lord. So no nation, right, is given the covenant but the nation of Israel. This is what a lot of people don't understand. That they might be called Christians and Catholics and Episcopalian, but the Lord never told any Episcopalian to make a contract with him. He never told a Jehovah's Witness to make a contract with him. So that's all vanity upon vanity. Es el libro de Eclesiásticos, capítulo 2, versículo 1. Hijo mío, si tratas de servir a Yahweh, prepara para la prueba. Fortalece tu voluntad y sé valiente para no acobardarte cuando llegue la calamidad. Sí, porque ya viene la tribulación. Ya sabemos que van a empezar a buscar a los hombres predicando la palabra de Yahweh Hashem Yahushai y arrestarnos. Lo sabemos, man, porque nuestros maestros nos han enseñado toda la verdad desde el principio. Nunca nos han negado que estas cosas tenían que pasar. El Señor declaró estas cosas que iban a pasar. ¿Okay? Versículo 3. Aférrate al Señor y no te apartes de Él. Así al final tendrás prosperidad. Acepta todo lo que te venga y sé paciente si la vida te trae sufrimientos, porque el valor del oro se prueba en el fuego y el valor de los hombres en el horno de sufrimiento. Confías en Dios y Él te ayudará. Procede rectamente y espera en Él. Ustedes, los que honran al Señor, confían en su misericordia. No se desvíen el camino recto para no caer. Los que honran al Señor confían en Él y no quedarán sin recompensa. Los que honran al Señor esperarán la prosperidad, la felicidad eterna y el amor de Dios. This is Book of Sirach, chapter 2, verse 1. My child, if you are going to serve the Lord, be prepared for times when you will be put to the test. And we're coming upon those times that we're going to be put to the test. Persecution is coming, all right? Look at what's happening to these immigrants. There's U.S. citizens being arrested and taken to El Salvador and never being heard from again. Be sincere and determined. Keep calm when trouble comes. Stay with the Lord and never abandon Him, and you will be prosperous at the end of your days. Accept whatever happens to you, even if you suffer humiliation. Be patient. Gold is tested by the fire, and human character is tested in the furnace of humiliation. Trust the Lord, and He will help you. Walk straight in His ways, and put your hope in Him. All you that fear the Lord, wait for Him to show you His mercy. Do not turn away from Him, or you will fall. All of you that fear the Lord, trust in Him, and you will certainly be rewarded. All of you that fear the Lord, look forward to His blessings of mercy and eternal happiness. Right? Because we have to have the sweet and the bitter. Like we said, we got to eat the whole row. It was sweet on our lips, but it was bitter in our stomach because we know what's going to come. And just like the Lord, we have to have what? We have to suffer like He suffered so we can proclaim the kingdom. We just can't have the sweet without the bitter. Okay? The sweet will be much sweeter because we have tasted of the bitter. That's why there's perfect harmony, perfect balance with the Lord. Okay? He's not all love. He's love and hate. Okay? He's a man of war. Este es Mateo 5 y 10. Dichosos los perseguidos por hacer lo que es justo, porque de ellos es el reino de los cielos. Dichosos ustedes cuando la gente los insulte y los maltrate, y cuando por causa mía los ataque con toda clase de mentira. Alégrense, estén contentos, porque van a recibir un gran premio en el cielo. Pues así también persiguieron a los profetas que vivieron antes que ustedes. Nada va a cambiar, ¿ok? Si persiguieron a los profetas antiguamente, ¿qué van a pasar a los profetas de hoy en día? De 2025. Van a seguirlos, van a odiarlos, ¿ok? Van a meterlos a la cárcel. Eso no es nada nuevo, ya sabemos que va a pasar eso. ¿Okay? Sal y luz del mundo. Ustedes son la sal de este mundo. Pero si la sal deja de ser salada, ¿cómo podrá recobrar su sabor? Ya no sirve para nada, así que se la tira a la calle y la gente la pisotea. Ustedes son la luz del mundo. Una ciudad en lo alto de un cerro no puede esconderse. Ni se enciende una lámpara para ponerla abajo de un cajón. Antes bien se le pone en alto para que alumbre a todo lo que están en la casa. Del mismo modo, procuren ustedes que la luz brille delante de la gente para que viendo el bien que ustedes hacen, todos alaben a su Padre que está en el cielo. ¿Ok? Porque nosotros somos esa luz. Y esta gente odia la luz porque ellos son de la oscuridad. ¿Okay? This is Matthew chapter 5 verse 10. Happy are those who are persecuted because they do what God requires. The kingdom of heaven belongs to them. Happy are you when people insult you and persecute you and tell all kinds of evil lies against you because you are my followers. Be happy and glad, for great reward is kept for you in heaven. This is how the prophets who lived before you were persecuted, right? Because that's what was happening to the prophets of old. They used to stone them, right? The old nation of Israel used to stone them. Okay? And what's going to happen to the prophets of 2025? They're going to be incarcerated. They're going to have to be stoned. Some of them even killed. But you have to know these things before you come on the highways and byways and accept that. And we have to accept that as men. Like men go to war. Okay? And you might not come back. So you have to accept that we're doing the labor of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and that we might have to give up the ghost, man. But that's okay. There's people that give up the ghost to go rob a bank. The people that are stealing a car to give up the ghost. But we're giving up the ghost, if anything, to proclaim the kingdom. So that's okay. This is Matthew 5 and 13. You are like the salt for the whole human race. But if salt loses its saltiness, there is no way to make it salty again. It has become worthless, so it is thrown out and people trample on it. You are the light for the whole world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one lights a lamp and puts it under a bowl. Instead, it is put on the lampstand where it gives light for everyone in the house. In that same way, your light must shine before people so that they will see the good things you do and praise your Father in heaven, right? Because that's what we have to do. We just can't hide who we are and just bring it out once a week. We have to, people have to see us walk in a certain way, deal with our brothers in a certain way, because they'll say, oh, you guys aren't smiling. Where does it say smiling equals joy? To do this work is our joy. To proclaim the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai in front of our enemies, that's our joy. That's our strength that the Lord has given us, to be standing 10 toes in front of the people who have put us in slavery and tell them their judgment. Okay, they can believe it, accept it or not. We're just here to tell the truth. For first time in thousands of years, the gospel is being proclaimed to the world, and the world doesn't want to hear it. Why? Because there's consequences, and people don't want to hear the consequences. Esta es Lamentaciones, capítulo 5, versículo 1. Recuerda, Señor, lo que nos ha pasado. Mirando, ve cómo nos ofenden. Todo lo nuestro ahora es en manos de nuestros extranjeros. Ahora nuestras casas son de gente extraña. Estamos huérfanos sin padres. Nuestras madres han quedado como viudas. Nuestra propia agua tenemos que comprarla. Nuestra propia leña tenemos que comprarla y pagarla. Nos han puesto un yugo en el cuello. Nos han cansados y no los dejan descansar. ¿De quién están hablando aquí? ¿Quién nos robó nuestra tierra? ¿No tenemos que pagar por el agua que era de nosotros, que era libre? Tenemos que pagar por la leña para hacer una casa para nosotros, y esta era nuestra tierra, nuestra propiedad, nuestra herencia. ¿Ok? ¿A quién les ha robado todo eso? A los hijos de Israel. This is Lamentation chapter 5 verse 1. Remember, O Lord, what has happened to us. Look at us and see our disgrace. Our property is in the hands of strangers. Foreigners are living in our homes. Our fathers have been killed by the enemy, and now our mothers are widows. We must pay for the water we drink. We must buy the wood we need for fuel. Driven hard like donkeys or camels, we are tired, but are all allowed not to rest, right? Because the rest is going to come in the kingdom of heaven. Okay? We're not going to get no rest here. This is a place of our captivity. This is a place of drawing waters. This is a place that the Lord has put us for disobeying the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? Este es el lugar de nuestro castigo. Este es el lugar que vamos a tener que hacer nuestra labor por desobedecer la ley y estatutos. Okay? Y déjame leer ese otro verso. Nos han puesto un yugo en el cuello, nos cansamos y no nos dejan descansar. Okay? Por eso nuestra gente está cansada. Imagínate cuántos años desde el tiempo de Daniel en Babilonia hasta hoy. Estamos hablando de casi 3,000 años, ¿ok? 2,800 años, 2,500 años, algo así. De esclavitud, de pura esclavitud, de ser esclavos por tanto tiempo. Nuestro espíritu está cansado. El Señor sabe esto, ¿ok? Por eso te promete que el resto en el reino, ¿ok? Nuestra gente ha pecado y por eso no va a recibir nada hasta en el reino. Y vamos a leer lo que el Señor les dice a estos edomitas. Lamentaciones 4:21. Ríete y alégrate, nación de Edom, ¿ok? Que es el autoproclamado hombre blanco. Tú que reinas en la región de Uz, también a ti te llegará el trago amargo y quedarás borracha y desnuda. Tu castigo ha terminado, ciudad de Sión, nuestro castigo ha llegado a su fin. El Señor no volverá a desterrarte, pero castigará tu maldad, nación de Edom, y pondrá el descubierto tus pecados. Okay? This is Lamentation, verse 4:21. Laugh on the people of Edom, and Edom are the Caucasian people, the red people, and us, the glad while you can. Your disaster is coming to you. You too will stagger naked in shame. Zion has paid for her sin. Right? The children of Israel went into slavery at the hands of the so-called white man. So now what's going to happen? We're coming to the end. Zion has paid for her sin. The Lord will not keep us in exile any longer. Right? The second coming of the Lord is coming. But Edom, okay, so-called Caucasian people, the Lord will punish you. He will expose your guilty acts. So everything that's coming out is not coming out just because we have internet. These words are coming out because it's the end of an age. It's an end of a guard, the end of a society. Remember, Rome fell. Why? Because it became rotten from within. America has become rotten within, and now everything is coming out. The technology they've been hiding, the assassinations they've done on their own people, all the dirty works, everything, 9/11, everything's coming out again and being looked at through different eyes, right? Because the spell that people were under is no longer. The Lord has broken the spell upon that, and the people are coming and waking up and seeing the shit for real. Hey man, you guys didn't go to space. You guys didn't do this because the Bible says you can't. There's a barrier that cannot be passed. Okay, they can't even go past the Van Allen belt, which is full of radiation. That's just science. What did the Russians say when they say the Americans went to the moon? He said, man, that's impossible, man. There ain't nobody going to the moon. Now you can send a robot to the moon, and that's technology. That's fine. But no human has gone and walked on the moon. That's just prideful, man. That's what these people made up. Este es Ezequiel capítulo 5, versículo 5. Yo, el Señor, lo digo, allí está Jerusalén, y yo fui quien lo puse en medio de los pueblos y naciones. Pero ella se rebeló contra mis leyes y mandatos, y ha resultado peor que los pueblos y naciones y a sus alrededores, pues no obedece mis leyes ni sigue mis mandatos. Por eso yo, el Señor, lo digo, ustedes han sido más rebeldes que los pueblos que se rodean, y no han seguido mis mandatos, ni siquiera han cumplido las leyes de los pueblos que los rodean. Ni siguen las leyes de aquí, porque ¿qué pasa? Nuestra gente se cruza la frontera y le vale madre y hace lo que ellos quieran, ¿ok? Ni siguen las leyes del Señor. ¿Tú crees que van a seguir las leyes de estos gringos? No, man. Por eso yo, el Señor, lo digo, yo también me voy a poner contra ti, Jerusalén. Voy a ejecutar la sentencia contra ti a la vista de las naciones, como nunca lo había hecho, ni volveré a hacerlo. Tan desechable son todas tus acciones. Dentro de ti habrá padres que se comen a sus hijos y hijos que se coman a sus padres. Y eso viene, ¿ok? Eso pasó en la historia de la nación de Israel, ¿ok? Cuando vinieron los asirianos por 3 años, la gente se estaban comiendo sus bebés. Eso va a pasar otra vez. Canibalismo, man. Viene a América, ¿ok? Está proclamado en la palabra de Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Ustedes padres se van a comer a sus hijos, man, ¿ok? Como les gusta a ustedes, todo frito, ¿ok? Hervido. Se van a comer a sus propios fetos, a sus propios hijos. Ejecutaré la sentencia contra ti y a los que sobrevivan de las dispersas a los 4 vientos. Yo, el Señor, lo juro por mi vida. Como ustedes han profanado mi santo templo con sus ídolos inmundos y sus acciones desechables, también yo los voy a destrozar sin misericordia. No tendré compasión de ustedes. 1/3 parte de tus habitantes, oigan bien, 2/3, porque eso está en el libro de Zacarías también, capítulo 14. También yo voy a destrozar, como ustedes han profanado mi santa palabra con sus ídolos inmundos y sus acciones, sin misericordia no tendré compasión de ustedes. 1/3 parte de sus habitantes morirán de peste y de hambre dentro de ti. Otra 1/3 parte caerá asesinados por los enemigos en los alrededores. Se está enseñando cómo 2/3 de la nación van a morir, ¿ok? Por la espada, por plaga o por la hambruna, ¿ok? 1/3 parte de tus habitantes morirán de peste y de hambre dentro de ti. Otra 1/3 parte caerá asesinados por los enemigos en los alrededores. Y la 1/3 parte restante la dispersaré a los 4 vientos. Yo iré detrás de ellos con una espada en la mano. Y eso pasó. Esto ya pasó, hermanos, ¿ok? Lo tienes que saber que el juicio del Señor, el Señor nos castigó fuerte, man. Pero muchas de esas cosas van a pasar otra vez, una vez más, ¿ok? This is Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 5. The sovereign Lord said, look at Jerusalem. I put her at the center of the world with other countries all around her. But Jerusalem rebelled against my commands, and so that she was more wicked than the other nations, more disobedient than the countries around her. Jerusalem rejected my commandments and refused to keep my laws. Now listen, Jerusalem, to what I, the sovereign Lord, I'm saying. By not obeying my laws or keeping my commandments, you have caused more trouble than the nations around you. You have followed the customs of other nations. And so I, the sovereign Lord, am telling you that I am your enemy. I will pass judgment on you where all the nations can see it, because all of the things you do that I hate. I will punish Jerusalem as I have never done before, and I will never do again. As a result, parents in Jerusalem will eat their children. And that already happened during the Assyrian captivity. Right before the Jerusalem, Samaria was taken, it was sacked for 3 years. And during that time, people were eating their children. But it's going to happen again here in America in the daughter of Babylon. Okay? As a result, parents, and that's Ezekiel 5:10. As a result, parents in Jerusalem will eat their children, and children will eat their parents. I will punish you and scatter in every direction any who are left alive. Okay, so that happened, but these events are going to happen again. Therefore, as I am the living God, this is the world of the sovereign Lord, because you defiled my temple with all the evil, disgusting things you did, I will cut you down without mercy. A third of your people will die from sickness and hunger. All right, so he's dividing the 2/3 into a third, because only the elect is talking about the third, but he's dividing the 2/3, the people that are going to get the judgment, the Israelites. Okay, he's cutting them into thirds. A third of your people will die from sickness and hunger in the city. And we can read that in 2 Ezra chapter 15. We're going to read that next. A third of your people will die from sickness and hunger in the city, and a third will be cut down by the sword outside the city. And I will scatter the last third to the winds and pursue them with the sword. So some of these events already happened, but like I said, there's some things that are going to be happening again. Obviously, we've already been dispersed. Okay, that already happened, but it proclaims that in the last days that the people will be eating their children. So that's a prophecy that hasn't happened, because we're at the end. We're not, but we're at the beginning of the end. We're not at this is the beginning of woes. Okay, so there's the prequel, the event, the crescendo, right? So we're not at the crescendo. We're at the beginning of it all. We're at the rumors of wars. So pretty soon, okay, we're going to start seeing shelves on the stores being empty. Okay, that's coming. It's 2025 right now. The date, that way we know what time it is, right? April 27th of 2025. So right now the shelves aren't empty, but that's coming within weeks and months of what I'm saying, because the Lord already has told us that that's coming. So the farmers ain't planting things, so how is it that you're going to be getting all these foods? Now they have tariffs. Now the real food that was coming from Europe, you're not going to get it. You're going to be getting all this junk, all this modified food that only America eats. None of this food that we have here can even enter into Europe. So put that in your head. Nobody wants to eat this junk. That's why you guys are overweight, obese, and that includes me, man. I'm not excluding myself from that, because I'm an Israelite and we have to suffer through these things. So yeah, let's get that. vamos a los libros apócrifos, hermanos, porque lo que leímos está aquí también. Ok, aquí está. Este es 4 de Esdras, capítulo 15, versículo 14. Ay del mundo y de los que en él habitan. Esto está hablando de todos, incluyendo ustedes israelitas. Porque la espada y su destrucción se acerca, y un pueblo se levantará para pelear contra otro, y espadas en sus manos. Hoy en día es lo que es el rifle, la ametralladora, lo que es la espada. ¿Okay? Porque habrá sedición entre los hombres, invadiendo uno a otros, y no tendrán en cuenta a sus reyes ni a sus príncipes, y el curso de sus acciones estarán en su poder. Y eso es lo que va a empezar a pasar aquí en Estados Unidos. La gente ya no va a obedecer su alcalde, el gobernador, y van a declarar que ley marcial. Eso es lo que viene. ¿Okay? El hombre deseará entrar a una ciudad y no podrá, porque va a haber puntos de retenes. Si tú vives acá, tú no vas a poder venir acá. ¿Okay? Por causa de su orgullo, las ciudades serán alborotadas, las casas serán destruidas y los hombres tendrán miedo. El hombre no tendrá piedad de su prójimo, sino que destruirá a espada sus casas y sacarían sus bienes por falta de pan y por gran tribulación. He aquí, dice Dios, convocaré a todos los reyes de la tierra para que me reverencien lo que son del nacimiento del sol, del sur. Estamos hablando del este, del sur, del oriente y del Líbano, para volverse unos contra otros y pagar en las cosas que les han hecho, como lo que hacen todavía hoy con mis escogidos, lo que han hecho los hijos puestos en esclavitud. Así también haré yo, y les pegaré en el seno de ellos. Así ha dicho Yahweh el Señor: mi diestra no perdonará a los pecadores, o mi mano izquierda, que del Señor, no va a perdonar. Ni cazará mi espada sobre los que derramen sangre inocente sobre la tierra. De su furor ha salido fuego y consumió los cimientos de la tierra, y a los pecadores como paja encendida. Y ya leímos eso. ¿Quién es la paja? Jesús, la nación de Edom, el autoproclamado hombre blanco. Ay de los que pecan y no guardan mis mandamientos, dice el Señor. No les perdonaré, apartaréis del poder. Hijos, no contaminaréis mi santuario, porque el Señor conoce a todos los que pecan contra Él, y por eso los libraré para muerte y perdición. El Señor va a liberar a uno nomás para morir, para matarlos. Porque hay muchos que dicen: oh, es que el Señor me ha guardado de drogas y todo. Sí, se te está preservando para el juicio del Señor, el jaque mate, porque ahora ha venido las plagas sobre toda la tierra, y permaneceráis en ellas, porque Dios nos librará, porque habéis pecado contra Él. Y he aquí una visión espantosa y su apariencia desde el oriente. Okay, esto viene a todo el mundo. Okay. Déjame leer esta parte, porque esto está pasando en este instante. Donde las naciones de los dragones de Arabia, están hablando de los árabes, que les están llamando dragones, saldrán con muchos carros, y la multitud de ellos serán llevados como el viento sobre la tierra, para que todos los que se escuchen temen también. También los carmenos. Los carmenos son los iraníes hoy en día, los persos de antiguamente. Furiosos saldrán como jabalís. Él está llamando jabalís a la nación de Irán, a los persos porque se van a unificar con los árabes. Eso está pasando ahorita. Están teniendo juntas allá en lo que es Irán. Los sauditas, que eran enemigos por 30 años, ahora se van a unificar debajo de Islam. ¿Okay? Como jabalíes del bosque, y vendrán con gran poder y se unirán a la batalla. Se van a unificar Irán y los árabes, y asolarán una parte de la tierra de los asirios. Y entonces los dragones tomarán la delantera, recordarán su naturaleza y se vuelvan ellos mismos conspirados juntos con gran poder para perseguirlos. Eso es lo que está pasando en este instante, hermanos, ¿ok? Porque para que vean que todo lo que está escrito está pasando. So let's get that. We just read. Time is going quick. It's so bright out here, you really can't see. Second Ezra chapter 15 verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and the swords in their hands. So the modern day sword is a gun, a machine gun, right? Assault rifle. Sterngewehr, as Adolf Hitler said, right? The assault rifle. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princesses, and their course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because there are going to be checkpoints. They're going to see where you live, and like, well, what do you want to do over there? You can't go over there. You live over here. There's going to be checkpoints everywhere. What's that movie with... It's called Under Siege, or The Siege, right? The Siege, with Denzel Washington, the FBI, and I forget this guy that came out in. He's a general. I forget his name right now. Oh, Bruce Willis. Sorry, Bruce Willis is the general, and he locked everything down in Manhattan. And they show you how they're going to declare martial law, block by block, right? They're going to center it out and confine and put detention centers, right? That's coming to America. Verse 18, for because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, and shall destroy their house with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Behold, saith God, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Lebanus, to turn themselves one against another. It's talking about World War III. And repay the things that they have done to them. So he's making the other nations go to war because of what they did to the children of Israel. Okay, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You can read that in the book of Joel, chapter 2, okay, and chapter 3. My right hand, talking about Yahushua Mashiach, Jesus, right? My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cause cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. The fire is gone from his wrath, and has consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw which is killed. So we already read about the straw in the book of Obadiah. which is the so-called Edomites, okay? Verse 24, woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power defile not my sanctuary. For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. So he's going to show you how different people the Lord wants them to die, and they're going to die in a specific way. We're going to read it. For now are the plagues coming upon the whole earth, right? Because they're talking about Ebola, they're talking about the new avian flu, all the stuff that's coming, right? And you shall remain in them, for God shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him. Behold, a horrible vision and appearance thereof from the east, were the nations and the dragons of Arabia. So that's speaking of right now. What is happening with Saudi Arabia and Iran? They're joining forces. Remember, these countries have been at war. They were going physically to war. Look at Saddam Hussein, which represents the Arab nation, was fighting against Iran for more than 10 years. Okay? And he used chemical warfare. So these people, even though they're both Muslim or in the religion, they were fighting against each other. But now they're saying, hey, we're both Muslims. We should be acting as Muslims. We are brothers. We have more in common than these so-called Westerners. And now they're clicking up. They're joining up. And look at what the Lord says is going to happen. Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, so the Arabs are being called dragons, shall come out with many chariots, vehicles, planes, and power, right? And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth. And all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmenians are modern day Iran, or what you would call Persians in the Bible. But the Carmenians are Iran today. Also the Carmenians raging in wrath shall go forth as a wild boar. So the Lord is calling the Persians or Iran wild boars. Okay? So he's talking about dragons or wild boars. Of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join the battle with them. So they're going to join up with them. Who? The Arabs, the dragons. Okay? And shall waste portion of the land of Assyria. Well, right now Assyria's in rubble. So I mean, it's not that far to to believe that it's going to be destroyed even more. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. Okay? So now the Lord is bringing out the true spirit of the so-called wild man, which is the son of Ishmael. Okay? He's bringing out that true spirit of him, the wild man, right? To kill people and do the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And he's making them join together with their enemies, once enemies, and now under Sharia law or being Muslims, the brotherhood is coming together with Arabia and Iran to create that fist of the sword, man. So this has been proclaimed by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, prophecy, and you're seeing them meet up together because right now they're meeting with the U.S., but they're meeting amongst each other. So prophecies are happening every day, brothers and sisters. You have to understand this. And we are in biblical times. Okay, so a lot of people don't understand that we are in biblical times. Here's a good one, because we were talking about space, right? Job 14, este es Job. Estamos hablando del espacio, que fueron al espacio, pero es mentira, porque aquí el Señor lo proclama.
¿ok? Porque el Señor dio el mundo a los impíos, a los malvados, a estos edomitas que son los hoy en día caucásicos, europeos, autoproclamado hombre blanco, les dio todo el planeta. Pero ¿qué no les dio autoridad? Job 14:5. Ciertamente sus días están determinados, porque ya determinó cuánto iba a reinar esta gente, ¿okay? Y el número de sus meses están cerca de ti. El fin de Estados Unidos y el reinado del autoproclamado hombre blanco, los edomitas, está llegando a su fin, ¿okay? Cerca de ti lo pusiste límites de los cuales no pasarán. Hay límites que este diablo no puede pasar a ir hacia la luna porque hay tanta radiación, ¿okay? Hay el cinto de Van Allen. Ellos cuando están yendo al espacio nomás están llegando a un punto del espacio, no están llegando al espacio abierto, están lo que es alrededor del planeta Tierra. Hay diferentes niveles, ¿okay? Y ahorita nomás llegaron a 65,000 pies. Los de Elon Musk están llegando a 80,000 pies, pues más. Por eso sus cohetes están más largos y están yendo más lejos, okay? So remember, they said they went to the moon and they only got so much time to do so much because the Lord already had put the boundaries on these people. The world is given to the hands of the wicked, Job 9:24. So the whole world belongs to them and they can do whatever they want in that prison, okay? Because this whole world is a prison to them. Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined. There's so many days that this man is going to rule. They have been already determined. The number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. What was that movie? The Ring. And what did Gandalf say? He shall not pass. And he was telling that demon that. And that's the so-called white man. He can't pass the Van Allen belt. Why? Because there's so much radiation. He can't go to the bottom of the ocean in submarines and go inside of a lake. They try to do it. They were bouncing off the bottom, going into, they're in the ocean, and there was a portal to go in, and they were bouncing off of it, man. So there's boundaries that they cannot pass. Why are they going to the bottoms of the earth and want to go to the heavens? We're going to read it. Vamos a leer eso. ¿Por qué el autoproclamado está yendo a los puntos más profundos del mar y quiere ir al espacio? Lo vamos a leer por qué este diablo hace esas cosas. Nomás lo hace porque es un hombre que quiere saber todo. No. Aquí está por qué. Este es Jeremías 31:35. El Señor que puso el sol para alumbrar de día y la luna y las estrellas para alumbrar de noche, que hace que el mar se agite y rujan sus olas, que tiene por nombre a Yahweh Todopoderoso, dice: si un día llegarán a fallar estas leyes que se ha establecido, ese día Israel dejará de ser mi pueblo. Yo, el Señor, lo afirmo. Si lo voy a leer de la Reina Valera porque no está leyendo bien. I'm going to read out of a different version. This version is not the best. So we're finding out why he's going to the moon and billionaires are imploding in submarines. Why? It's Jeremiah 31. Por eso el autoproclamado en blanco anda abajo del mar y en el espacio. Jeremías 31 y 35. Así ha dicho Yahweh, que da el sol para luz del día, las leyes de la luna y de las estrellas, para luz de noche, que parte del mar y braman sus ondas. Yahweh de los ejércitos es su nombre. Si faltarán estas leyes, si faltan las estrellas, el sol y la luna, delante de mí, dice Yahweh, también la descendencia de Israel faltará para no ser nación delante de mí eternamente. Así ha dicho Yahweh, si los cielos arriba se pueden medir, se están midiendo qué tan grandes son los cielos, oigan bien, y el explorarse abajo de los fundamentos de la tierra, en el mar, por eso está bajando y está midiendo, ¿ok? También yo desecharé toda la descendencia de Israel por todo lo que hicieron, dice Yahweh. Estos diablos andan tratando de medir. Es un término hebreo. Es como decir cuando los puercos vuelen, como dicen en inglés, when pigs fly. It's just a Hebraic term. It's not that he's actually going to measure it, because it's impossible. But these people want to find loopholes. They're trying to go into space and measure the foundation of the earth, which is what the abyss, right? That's what they're doing at the bottom of the ocean. Okay, we're going to read it. He's just not doing things because he's a pioneer and he's got the spirit. No. This is Jeremiah 31 and 36. I will start at 35. Jeremiah 31 and 35. Thus saith Yahweh, which I giveth the sun for a light by day, an ordinance of the moon, and of the stars for light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. And Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances, the sun, the moon, the stars, if those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Verse 37, thus saith Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, if he can measure the heavens, and the foundation of the earth, right? That's why they're going in the submarines to the abyss of the ocean. And the foundation of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off the seed of Israel for that they have done, saith the Lord. So this devil's going to extremes to try to find loopholes to try to get the covenant. Remember, the covenant, it was never for him. Okay? Since before he was born, he was already declared unfit. These so-called Caucasians are unfit. They're of the devil. Because the Lord, that's how he created them. Okay? And I think I'm going to have to get that verse in Psalm 58 and 3 as well. Because this is already declared from the beginning. Isaías 28 y 9. ¿A quién se enseñará sabiduría? ¿A quién se hará entender doctrina? A los destados, a los arrancados del pecho. Porque mandamiento tras mandamiento, mandamiento sobre mandamiento, reglón sobre reglón, línea sobre línea, un poquito allí y otro poquito allá. Eso es como agarras el entendimiento de la Biblia. Agarras un poquito de entendimiento del Nuevo Testamento al Viejo Testamento, el libro apócrifos, línea por línea se lee y agarras el entendimiento. ¿Okay? No vas a leer la página 2 y luego página 5 y no, así no se lee. Ese es un libro espiritual. ¿Okay? This is Isaiah 28:9. Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make understand doctrine? Right? Because a lot of people think that they believe that the Bible, Christians, Catholics, but in reality, they're just perverting. They're reading the scriptures and perverting everything. Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Okay? And the milk is the basic understanding of the scriptures. Who you are in the scriptures, right? Who's your God, who's your enemy, who your people. And the breast is the scriptures, is the Bible. Okay? For precept must be upon precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Okay? That's how you read the Bible. You read something in the book of Jeremiah, then you'll get something in the book of Luke, then you get something from the Apocrypha, and it's all got to harmonize itself. Just speaking about the same thing, but just in different times, different prophets, and similar words. Because the Bible is not going to say something in the book of Romans that's going to contradict the book of Isaiah. It's going to all harmonize because Paul was quoting Isaiah. This is what, a lot of people don't understand the epistles of Paul. Paul was a master of the law. So if you don't know the law, you can never understand his scriptures. You can never understand his writing, his epistles. It tells you that. Porque mucha gente lee las cartas de Pablo, pero no las entienden. Y te voy a decir por qué no las entienden. Romanos 7. Porque Pablo está escribiendo a una gente particular, no a todo el mundo. Esto es Romanos capítulo 7, versículo 1. ¿Acaso ignorás, hermano? Pues hablo con los que conocen la ley, que la ley se enseñorearía del hombre entre tanto que esté vivo. So, la ley tiene poder sobre nosotros todos los días de nuestra vida. And this is what Paul explained who these epistles are for. Okay? Romans 7:1. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law has dominion over a man as long as he liveth. As long as you live, this law, statutes, and commandments are upon us. There's a lot of people don't understand. Este es 4 de Esdras, capítulo 16, versículo 33. Las vírgenes no tendrán marido. Las mujeres no tendrán marido. Sus hijas no tendrán ayudantes. Porque en la tercera guerra mundial muchos hombres van a morir, hermanos. ¿Okay? So, no va a haber tantos hombres. ¿Okay? So, cualquier hombre jodido va a ser un rey. Va a tener varias mujeres. Porque eso lo puedes leer en Isaías 40. Y lo vamos a leer. En las guerras serán destruidos sus esposos y sus maridos. Perecerán de hambre. Oye ahora estas cosas y compréndelas, siervos del Señor. He aquí las palabras de Yahweh. Recíbela y no crees a los dioses de quienes habló el Señor. He aquí las plagas se acercan y no se cesan. Como cuando una mujer encinta el 9º mes de la luz. O sea, cuando una mujer está embarazada y va a dar un hijo, una hija. A su hijo, a los 2-3 horas de su nacimiento, grandes dolores rodean su vientre. Qué dolores cuando el niño nace, no desfallecen ni un momento, ¿ok? Porque vienen en olas. Cuando vas a dar luz, que vas a empujar, que te dan esa... se está abriendo, ¿sí? Así no tardarán las plagas en enviar sobre la tierra, y el mundo morirá, y vendrá a dolores sobre él por todos lados. Pueblo mío, escuchen mis palabras, prepárate para la batalla, y en esos males sé como peregrinos para la tierra, porque en esos días no vas a estar en tu casa o internet y vas a tener tu comida alzada ahí en el refrigerador. No va a haber electricidad, man. No va a haber internet. Toda la gente va a estar invadiendo las casas, saqueándolas, man. Y ya lo leímos. Vas a andar como peregrino, andar caminando con una mochilita y es todo. Vas a estar caminando por fe. Trying to find the best area to start. Okay. We'll start here. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16 verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the others that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So, yeah, there's going to be people that are going to have food, but guess what's going to find them? Somebody with a machine gun that wants your cup of noodles, man. Give up your cup of noodles, my nigga. You're about to get it. And they're going to kill you for your cup of noodles, man. Because you've been posting on Instagram that you got a stack of a cup of noodles and Campbell's soup, and every nigga within earshot heard of you or smelled it. Imagine people haven't eaten a week, and you're boiling your cup of noodles or Campbell's soup. You can smell that shit miles away. There'll be 20, 30 hungry people with knives and machine guns and machetes waiting for you. Okay? Verse 23, and the dead shall be cast out as dung. So the dead bodies are just going to be thrown on the street. Dung means shit. And there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. We just read that most men are going to die. Okay. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? Right, because who does all the agriculture work? It's like 95% men. Okay. Who does all the infrastructure of the world? Electricity, sewer, water, nuclear. Like 95% men. Okay. The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all the places shall be desolate of men. So that one man shall desire to see another, and to hear his voice. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and the clefts of the rocks. So people are going to be hiding, man, because people are going to be killing each other for your goods. You know, I heard you got some cup of noodles, my G. You better give it up. You know what time it is, right? Because all the prisons are going to be opened up. They're going to be niggas on the street that haven't been seeing the streets in 30 years, man. As in orchards of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives. Or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. So people are going to come into your house with machine guns, machetes, right? Bands of 8, 12, 15 men. We're going to see if feminism exists in that day. And see if women are strong as men in that day. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel therein. Right? Because all the people that are picking the oranges, the strawberries, there's nobody going to be picking them. There's going to be the fruit that's going to be spoiling right there and then. Because the fields of the food, they're hundreds of miles away from here. Okay? Looking at Delano, Napa, all that is growing up hundreds of miles. That's a 5-hour drive. Here and back, that's 10 hours. Who's going to have fuel enough to go over there to get some food if there's any food, right? Because people from San Francisco are going to be swooping in Napa and all those places. But where are you going to get all this stuff? In the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed. Men are going to die in the wars, World War III. And their husbands shall perish of famine. It's another ones are going to die of lack of food. Hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord. Behold, the word of the Lord receiveth. Believe not the gods of whom the Lord spoke. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child is in her 9th month. So they're making an analogy of when a pregnant woman, right? She's getting birth pains, right? Bringing forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. So it's going to be one tribulation with another tribulation and another tribulation. That's how the pains are going to come. Like a woman going through giving birth. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth. And the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. O my people, hear my words. Make you ready to the battle. And in those evils, be even as pilgrims upon the earth. Right? Because a lot of people think you're going to be with a generator and some solar panels. Like, no, there's going to be no power, no electricity. You're not going to be in air conditioning. You're going to be walking around with the clothes you have on your back and maybe a backpack if you're lucky. You're going to be walking as pilgrims. You're going to lose everything. He that selleth, let him be as that he fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose. He that occupieth merchandise as he that has no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth as if it should not reap, so also that planteth the vineyard as he that shall not gather the grapes. Right? Because we're not going to have time for that. There's going to be great war, great tribulation on the streets. He that soweth as if he should not reap, so also he planteth the vineyard as he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry, as they shall get no children, and they that marry not, as the widowers. So it's telling you the total opposite. It's like you get married, there's not gonna be no honeymoon. There's gonna be nothing. It's gonna be miserable, right? People are gonna hack you to death. And therefore they that labor in vain. For the strangers shall reap their fruit and spoil their goods, right? Because you got all these preppers that have been prepping for years. And guess what? They ain't got no machine guns. They just thought they're gonna hide all this stuff from their neighbors. All their neighbors would know that John's been a prepper, and they're gonna come on in and raid his house, kill his wife, and eat his food. For the strangers shall reap the fruits and spoil their goods, overthrow their houses, and take their children captives, right? Because they're going to be selling people. Women are going to be a commodity. Here you go. I'll take you this woman for all this food you got right here. There you go. You can do whatever the hell you want with her. Their houses shall take their children captives, for in captivity and famine shall they get children, right? Because they're going to be swapping children, women, just like it was in days of old. And they that occupy their merchandise with robbery, the more they deck their cities, their houses, their possessions, and their own persons, the more will I be angry with them for their sin, saith the Lord. Like as a whore envieth a right honest and a virtuous woman, so shall the righteous hate iniquity when she decketh herself, and she accuse her to her face to face, when she cometh and shall defend him that diligently searches about every sin upon the earth. And therefore ye not like thereunto, nor the works thereof, for yet a little, and iniquity shall be taken away out of the earth, and righteousness shall reign among you. So we're coming upon heavy days, brothers and sisters. These are the times that the Lord has declared, right? The end. So we just read how people are going to be coming to your house, kicking down your door, and taking your goods. Romanos 8:6, porque el ocuparse de la carne es muerte, pero el ocuparse del espíritu es vida y paz. Por cuanto los designios de la carne son enemistad contra Dios, porque no se sujeten a la ley de Dios, ni tampoco pueden. Sí, porque ser espiritual es lo que, para poder leer esta Biblia, man, tienes que ser una persona espiritual. Si eres una persona carnal, ¿ok? Estás pensando en la carne, estás comiendo siempre, no estás haciendo ¿qué? Ayunando y rezando. This is Romans 8:6. For the carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnally minded is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can it be. Right? Because a lot of people will read this book, but will never understand it because they're carnally minded. This is a spiritual book written by the Israelites for the Israelites. And only the Israelites are going to understand this fully. And in the kingdom of heaven, they will be teaching the Bible to all the other nations. they will be the light unto the nations, but not now. Not now. The elect are being sealing the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay? So everything, there's a time and a purpose for everything. Romanos 8:16. El Espíritu mismo da testimonio a nuestro espíritu de que somos hijos de Dios. Y si hijos también, herederos de Dios y con herederos a Mashiach, si es que pademos juntamente con Él, para que juntamente con Él seamos glorificados. Y está hablando de los israelitas, hermanos. ¿Okay? No creas que eso está hablando de todas las personas más que creen, porque esas promesas de fe fue dado a los israelitas. This is Romans 8:16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And of the children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with the Mashiach, is so that we suffer with Him, that we may also glorified with Him. Right? Because that promise was given to the Israelites, that they're the children of God, to the promise, right? To the promise of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And that's not talking about everybody. That's talking about the children of Israel, which are the sons of God. They're the sons of God, the sons of men, and the sons of the wicked. Three classifications of humans that people don't understand. Este es 1 Corintios capítulo 10, versículo 1. Porque no quiero, hermanos, que ignores que nuestros padres todos estuvieron bajo la nube y todos pasaron en el mar. So, Pablo está hablando a sus físicos hermanos, ¿ok? Porque no todos sus hermanos caminaron, o sea, nadie más que sus hermanos caminaron debajo de la nube, ¿ok? Está hablando del tiempo de saliendo de Egipto, ¿ok? Que nuestros padres estuvieron bajo de la nube y pasaron el mar. Cuando Moisés partió el mar, ¿quién pasó por ahí? Los israelitas, ¿ok? Y todos en Moisés fueron bautizados, y en la nube y en el mar, y todos comieron el mismo alimento espiritual, que está hablando de la maná, ¿ok? Y todos vivieron la misma bebida espiritual, sí, porque la roca era el Mesías, ¿ok? Esa piedra nos dio de beber en el desierto. Por eso esto es llamado las aguas vivientes, ¿ok? Esa analogía. Porque vivían de la roca espiritual que los seguía, y esa roca era a Mashiach, que era el Cristo, ¿ok? Fácil. So, Pablo no está hablando a toda la humanidad, está hablando a sus hermanos, a sus descendientes, ¿ok? 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea. Right? And he's talking about an event, okay, that happened in the time of Moses. So let's continue. And we're all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. What is he talking about? The Exodus. He's talking about when the children of Israel for 40 years were living under the cloud, that so-called chariot, and then they went through the sea when Moses parted the sea. Okay? That wasn't everybody. That was talking about the children of Israel. That's why he's writing to this Corinthians how to remember that our fathers, our ancestors did that. Okay? Because they have forgotten who they are. They forgot they're Israelites. And we're all baptized unto Moses in the clouds and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat. Right? It's talking about the manna, the spiritual bread. And did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of the spiritual rock. And who's that rock? That followed them, and that rock was a Mashiach Yahushai. Okay? so-called Jesus Christ. Okay, because that rock is the one that gave water to the Israelites, the living water. Okay, it was physical water then, but the promise is talking about the living water that we're going to live forever. In the kingdom of heaven, we're going to have those celestial bodies that is promised to the Israelites and nobody else. Okay, so we're getting close, brothers. Just got to check the time, make sure I don't run out of battery. And the day is a beautiful day out here. Okay, you could actually see the island, everything around. So Corintios capítulo 12 versículo 1. No quiero, hermanos, que ignores acerca de los dones espirituales. Sabes que cuando eran gentiles, hoy le está diciendo cuando eran gentiles, ¿cómo van a ser los gentiles que eran gentiles ya no son gentiles? Solo está diciendo que antes eran gentiles. ¿Por qué eran gentiles? Sabes que cuando eran gentiles extraviaba llevando como se llevaba a los ídolos. So, le están diciendo a los corintios, ustedes estaban actuando como gentiles porque estaban siguiendo ídolos. Pero ustedes son israelitas, porque él les dijo, hermanos, acuérdate que nuestros antepasados, ¿qué? Estuvieron debajo de la nube, comieron ese pan espiritual y fuimos partiendo el mar Rojo. Él está diciendo eso a sus propios hermanos, ¿ok? ¿Que por qué son llamados gentiles? Por idolatría. Okay? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. So again, he's breaking something down that they might not know. You know that you were Gentiles. So again, he's calling them, you were Gentiles. How can you be Chinese and not be Chinese anymore? How can you be an Arab and not be an Arab? So he's breaking it down for those that have ears to hear and eyes to see. You know that you were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols. So what made them Gentiles is idolatry. They're really Israelites, but they're being called Gentiles because they're calling themselves Corinthians, Galatians, right? In these provinces of Greece. Why? Because they were taken into captivity during the Greek captivity. We're going to read out of the Maccabees, right? So let's get that. Este es segundo Macabeos, capítulo 6, versículo 1. Estamos explicando por qué eran gentiles, israelitas. Poco tiempo después, el rey envió ateniense Geronta para obligar a los judíos a que desterran de las leyes de sus padres. O sea, están escribiendo y diciendo, ¿sabes qué? Ustedes ya no pueden seguir esas leyes. Tienen que seguir las leyes de nosotros. ¿Okay? Y que dejarán vivir según las leyes de su Dios. No tenían que abandonar las leyes del Señor. Y además, para contaminar el templo de Jerusalén, dedicaron a Zeus, o idolatría, están adorando a Zeus, olímpico, y el Garazim y Zeus hospitalaría como el habitante pedido a los habitantes del lugar. So, ahora no pueden adorar a Yahweh Bashem y Yahushua, ahora van a tener que adorar a Zeus. ¿Okay? Este recrudimiento del mal era para todo penoso e insoportable. El templo estaba lleno de desorden y orgías, óiganlo bien, por parte de los paganos, de los verdaderos griegos, no de los israelitas, ¿okay? Que holgaban con meretrices y que en los atrios sagrados adoraban con mujeres, y a Satán introducían allí cosas prohibidas. O estaban adorando a otros dioses, ¿okay? Haciendo orgías a otros dioses. El altar estaba repleto de víctimas ilícitas prohibidas por la ley. No se podía ni celebrar el sábado, ni guardar las fiestas patrias, ni siquiera confesarse ser judío. O sea, no te podías llamarte judío debajo de la ley de los griegos, como hoy en día. ¿Okay? Antes bien eran obligados con amarga violencia a la celebración mensual del nacimiento del rey. Cumpleaños. Éramos forzados a cumplir cumpleaños, que no es parte de ninguna parte de la Biblia. Esa es una abominación. ¿Okay? Con amarga violencia a celebrar mensual del nacimiento del rey con su banquete sacrificial, y cuando llegaba la fiesta de Dinoso eran forzados a formar parte de su cortejo coronando de hiedra. So, antes, cuando ganaban, te ponían esas hierbas cuando ganaban las Olimpiadas. Es lo que estaban poniendo. Por instigación de los habitantes Tolomidades salió un decreto. Okay, oigan el decreto que salió. Por los habitantes Tolomidas salió un decreto para los vecinas ciudades griegas, obligándoles a que procedieran en la misma forma contra los judíos y que les hicieran participar en los banquetes sacrificiales, con orden de degollar a los que adoptaran el cambio a las costumbres griegas. Podías ya entrever la calamidad inmensa. O te estaban diciendo, si no seguían sus leyes, te colgaban, te llegaba a tu fin. 2 mujeres fueron delante por haber circuncidado a sus hijos. Las hicieron recorrer públicamente la ciudad con sus niños colgados de sus pechos, porque ellos estaban haciendo la circuncisión, estaban haciendo la ley. Mataron a sus niños, colgaron a sus niños, sus bebés, y tuvieron que caminar todo el pueblo, ¿ok? Para que todos vean, ¿ok? Colgados del pecho y precipitaron desde la muralla. Otros que se habían reunido en cuevas próximas para celebrar escondidos el día 7º fueron denunciados a Filipo y quemados juntos sin que quisieran hacer nada en su defensa por respeto a la santidad del día. Eso es lo que le estaba pasando a nuestra gente, y por eso tuvieron que abandonar la ley del Señor y no poder llamarse judíos. Se estaban llamando griegos. ¿Okay? So let's get that in the Maccabees. Why all this is such a big deal? Because these Christians don't get it. And they're never going to get it, right? This is only for the elect of the nation of Israel anyways. So we'll start from the top. 2 Maccabees 6:1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God, and to pollute also the temple of Jerusalem, and to call the temple of Jupiter Olympus, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of the strangers, and they did also desire to dwell in those places. So they were foes. The Jews were forced to follow other idols. The coming of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles. So this is talking about physical Gentiles, real Greeks, not our people, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. So whether they were having orgies in the temple of the Lord. Actual Greeks. The altar also was filled with profane things which the law forbid. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep a Sabbath day or ancient feast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So if you can't call yourself a Jew, what are you going to call yourself under the rule of the Greek? A Greek. So the Jews were calling themselves Greek according to the law. And in that day, the king's birth every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat and sacrifice when the feast of Bacchus, which is Mardi Gras. Okay, there you go. Our people celebrate Mardi Gras all the time, have a good time in New Orleans, up in the islands, Carnival, Brazil. But it's really a fucking pagan holiday. We were forced to do that. But now we do it ignorantly, not knowing that that's Baal, Satan, okay, and have a great time. The Jews were compelled to go in processions of Bacchus carrying ivy, right? Because they would put those leaves of ivy as a triumph, as what they do in the Olympics. For the temple was filled with riot and reveling, for the Gentiles who dallied with harlots had to do with women within the circuit of the holy. Just read that. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep a Sabbath day or ancient fast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So if you couldn't call yourself a Jew, what are you going to call yourself? A Greek. So that's why Paul was writing to the Greeks. He's talking to Israelites that were called Greeks and grew up as Greeks. And in the days of the king's birth every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices when the fast of Bacchus was kept, and the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. So birthdays. People celebrate birthdays. We never celebrate birthdays. We were forced to. And that's why our people love Carnival. They love birthdays, not knowing that these are what? Illicit days of the devil. Even the Satanists over there in San Francisco was telling everybody, thanking them for celebrating birthdays. Celebrating birthdays is a satanic thing. Second Maccabees chapter 6 verse 8. Moreover, they went out a decree to the neighboring cities of the heathen by suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashion and be partakers of the sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might they have been presently ministry, where wherever two women brought they had circumcised their children, whom they had openly led around about the city. The babes hanging off their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall. So they found two women who had circumcised their babies, which is the law of Moses. They killed those children and hanged them on their neck to walk around the city, and then they hanged them from the wall. Okay, so it was death to do the law, statutes, and commandments, brothers and sisters. And others that had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day, secretly being discovered by Philip, were all burned together because they were made conscious to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. So people were secretly doing the law, statutes, and commandments in caves as they were doing in Rome. Okay, 2,000 years or 2,500 years later, underneath the Vatican, okay, those are all Jews. Because people say Christians, well, Christians the only people that can be called Christians are Jews. Because Christian is a derogatory term, an ethnic slur for those people. Here's the important part of this book. Look, 2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book that be not discouraged for these calamities, but they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for chastising of our nation. For it is a token of great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punishment. Okay, so we were forced to abandon the law, statutes, and commandments under the modern law, which was the Greeks and then the Romans. And that's what Paul was writing these epistles to his physical Israelite brothers, bringing them back to the fold, which was the prophecy of the Messiah too. And we're going to read that. Okay, so Pablo, cuando estaba escribiendo esas cartas, estaba trayendo esos israelitas que estaban viviendo debajo de los griegos, de los romanos, y viviendo como griegos y romanos, llamándose con nombres así. Lo estaba diciendo, no, ustedes son israelitas, man, tienen que seguir y regresar y empezar a hacer la ley de estatutos, porque el Señor te va a arrepentir. ¿Ok? No tenías oportunidad de hacer eso. El Señor va a tener misericordia sobre ti. ¿Ok? Eso es lo que está pasando hasta hoy en día. Nuestra gente abandonó sus leyes, estatutos, su herencia. ¿Ok? Fueron en esclavitud, perdieron sus nombres, su herencia, su cultura. Y la gente que los esclavizó les dio su lengua, su cultura, y no saben quién eres. Tú no puedes seguir 2, 3 generaciones y saber quién era tu abuelito, qué hablaba originalmente, porque eso fue perdido en el tiempo de la conquista. ¿Okay? Por eso mucha gente no sabe su herencia, de dónde realmente vienen. Te pueden decir, oh, soy latino, soy ¿qué es otro nombre que dicen? Hispano. Ok, dicen hispano, porque ¿qué es eso? Es que propiedad de España, porque éramos propiedad de los españoles. Nuestra gente no sabe su propia historia, es triste. Por eso tenemos que ir a las escrituras, porque toda nuestra historia está en las escrituras. Déjame sacar eso. Ese es Deuteronomio 28 y 45. Y vendrán sobre ti todas estas maldiciones y te perseguirán y te alcanzarán hasta que te persigan, por cuanto no habrás atendido la voz de Yahweh tu Dios para guardar sus mandamientos y sus estatutos que Él te mandó. Son las plagas, ¿ok? Estas maldiciones son las plagas que el Señor puso sobre su gente por desobedecer. Hasta este día su gente tiene esas plagas, sus maldiciones, de estar abajo de toda la sociedad. Y el Señor es el único que te va a rescatar de eso, ¿ok? De ser esclavo, de no tener nada, ¿ok? De tener tu propio país, pero tu país no tiene recursos para darte. Esa es una maldición, ¿ok? This is Deuteronomy 28:45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. So these curses are going to be upon the children of Israel, okay, until the Lord comes back. So let's see some of these curses. Deuteronomio 28:48. Servirás por tanto a tus enemigos que enviará Yahweh contra ti con hambre y con sed y con desnudez y con falta de todas las cosas, y Él pondrá un yugo de hierro sobre tu cuello hasta destruirte. ¿Quién puso un yugo de hierro sobre los indígenas de las Américas? El autoproclamado hombre blanco, el español, el francés, el portugués, el inglés. Esa es profecía que iba a pasar a la nación de Israel. This is Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Right? Because who does that prophecy fulfill? It doesn't fulfill a lot of people. It's only going to fulfill the Israelites. You blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you will put a yoke of iron upon you. For hundreds of years until your mind was destroyed. You've been trained. Just like a little dog, you first get a puppy, he wants to take off. But what do? You put the collar on him, you drag him around, you feed him, you give him water, you sleep with him. And then all of a sudden, that dog follows you everywhere. He follows you everywhere, to everywhere, and you don't need to have a collar. That dog will follow you everywhere you go. So once he's trained, you take the collar off. There's no need to put the collar. Where did the slaves go after they freed them? They stayed right there. They didn't go anywhere. They're trained. See what I mean? That's prophecy. Versículo 49. Yahweh traerá contra ti una nación de lejos, del extremo de la tierra, que vuela como el águila, nación cuya lengua no entenderás. ¿Ok? Cuando Cristóbal Colón vino en 1492 y llegó a lo que hoy descendía Puerto Rico, a los taínos, él vino del otro lado del mundo. España está al otro lado del mundo. Y tenía una bandera, ¿ok? La bandera de la iglesia católica, que es un águila negro. So, déjame leerlo otra vez. Yahweh traerá contra ti una nación de lejos. Los españoles vinieron del otro lado del mundo, del extremo de la tierra, que vuela como el águila. Trajeron ese águila porque el águila es representante del autoproclamado hombre blanco. Nación cuya lengua no entendía. Nosotros no hablábamos español. Acuérdate, nosotros hablábamos náhuatl, quiché, que son formas de hebreo quebrado, ¿eh? Por eso Cristóbal Colón tenía traductores como Luis de Torres, que hablaba hebreo, ¿okay? Traía, ¿qué? 5 traductores hebreos. Esos están en sus diarios. Búsquenlo. This is Deuteronomy 28:49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the ends of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Okay? So the Lord was going to bring a nation from far, from the ends of the earth. So in 1492, when Christopher Columbus came from the other side of the world, he's fulfilling prophecy of Deuteronomy 28:49. Okay? Came from the other side of the world. As swift as the eagle. And Christopher Columbus was flying the flag of the Catholic Church, which is a black eagle. Okay? And the so-called white man's emblem is the eagle. Look at France, look at Germany, the United States, Greece, Rome. They all have the eagle. Why? Because they're the Edomites. As swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. We didn't understand Spanish. Okay? We spoke Nahuatl, Quiche, Maya. Those are all forms of Hebrew, broken Hebrew. That's what he said. And that's why he brought 5 Hebrew translators. One of them was Luisa Torres. Okay? That's how he was communicating with the natives. A form of broken Hebrew. That's according to his diaries. Read his diaries. That's what he says. Gente fiera de nosotros que no tendrá respeto al anciano ni perdonarán al niño. Porque esta gente andaba matando, masacrando, violando. Le estaba cortando bebés del vientre. Tiraban bebés al cielo y cortaban a ver si sus espadas. Les daban de comer los bebés a los perros. Esta gente vino con un espíritu de fiera, ¿ok? Que no tenía compasión de nadie. Deuteronomy 28:50, a nation's fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young, right? Because he came killing women, children. He was cutting babies out of the womb, throwing it up in the air to see how sharp his sword is, feeding the infants, the embryos to his dogs. It was horrendous. These people, and remember, these people are Catholics, Christians. You can say whatever you want. It's all bullshit. Okay? This is the foundation of white supremacy. Okay? Versículo 51, y comerán el fruto de su bestia y el fruto de tu tierra hasta que perezcas, y no dejarán grano, ni mosto, ni aceite, ni la cría de tus vacas, ni los rebaños de tus ovejas, hasta destruirte. Se robaron todo, man. Todo lo que teníamos, hasta tu tierra, man. Toda el agua es de ellos. ¿Ok? La lluvia ni la puedes colectar porque te van a decir que es de ellos también. Te ponen multas, man. Tú no puedes cortar un árbol aquí porque les pertenece a ellos. Todo esto era de nosotros y ahora no es nada de esto de nosotros. Verse 51, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. Right? Because these people came and took everything from us. Not just the land, not just the water, our animals. They desecrated the buffalo, man. Every form of animal is an endangered species, including the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. They killed so many of us that we were so close to being wiped off the face of the earth. It's by the grace of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai that this man massacred the biggest genocide on earth wasn't completed, because the Lord said if he would have wiped out the nation of Israel, then the sun and the moon don't need to exist. Then Israel is no more. But the Lord he wanted to punish us, but he's not going to do away with his people. Okay? This is what a lot of people don't understand. So I got one more verse to close out. Voy a cerrar con un verso. Romanos 11:1. Digo pues, ¿ha desechado Dios a su pueblo? En ninguna manera, porque también yo soy un israelita de la descendencia de Abraham, de la tribu de Benjamín. So Pablo te está diciendo que no, el Señor no desechó a su gente, porque él también es un israelita. No ha desechado Dios a su pueblo, al cual desde antes conoció. ¿O no sabes qué dice Elías en la escritura? ¿Cómo invoca a Dios contra Israel? ¿Ok? Eso lo puedes leer tú, pero ahí está el punto. El Señor no ha desechado a Israel. And we'll close out with this, brothers and sisters. This is Romans 11:1. I say then, has God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God has not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Will ye not what the scripture saith of Elias? How he make it intersection to God against Israel? Right, because what did Israel do at that time with Elias? They were killing the prophets. He thought he was the last one. But the Lord said, no, not so, man. I have preserved 7,000 men. And that's just a number of completion. It's more than 7,000 men, right? Because right now the Lord has got his men out in the highways and byways proclaiming the gospel, right, in these last days to the people that hear. Because not everybody's going to hear or forbear. Because we have to proclaim the destruction of this place, the wickedness of this place. Because every time the prophets came out, judgment had to come to that place. So you're seeing the end of an age, the end of a guard, the fall of an empire before our feet. Okay? So estamos viendo cuando los profetas salían antes de que el Señor destruyera. Okay? Cuando destruyó a Siria. Okay? Todos los profetas fueron a predicar. Y era un tiempo que se arrepintieron. ¿Pero qué? El Señor siempre los destruyó ese lugar. ¿Ok? So el Señor va a destruir Estados Unidos. Tiene que sacar sus hombres y proclamar a los que escuchan para que arrepientan. Pero todavía va a destruir este lugar en su tiempo. Y es el tiempo de ahora, hermanos. Por eso el tiempo de arrepentimiento es ahora. El nombre de clamar a Yahweh Bashim Yahushai es ahora. No cuando ya llegue el Señor y abre los cielos y empiece la guerra. Okay? So the time of repentance is now. It's now when the Lord comes and cracks open the skies and he's going to start seeing all these flying saucers and concentrated fire. Then it's too late. It's done. It's done with. So the time of looking for the Lord is now, where you can still repent and call upon the name. So that's it, brothers and sisters. I hope you guys understand and thank you for seeing the end of this video. So we're proclaiming the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the time of the end. So that's the time we're in, and that's my time. Give double honors to all those at GMS. We learned this truth. Shalom to the apostles, bishops, and to the men down on the highways and byways. Give the 100% truth. Shalom to you, brothers and sisters. Shalom, hermanos. Acabando este campo, sellando aquí el juicio de Yahweh Bashim Yahushai en este lugar, en el juicio de proclamar y destruir este lugar con las palabras de Yahweh Bashim Yahushai en estos últimos días. Arrepienten porque el reino está a mano. So repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Shalom. Shut down.